Really sorry to do this to you in your already sorrowful state, U.S. soccer supporters, but Panama probably shouldn't have scored its equalizer against Costa Rica. That goal made it 11, and put Los Canaleros on the path to the Interconfederation playoff when Roman Torres scored to lift Panama past Costa Rica on the day and beyond the flailing USMNT for the Hex. More USMNT recap player ratings. 3 things now. Panama is off to the World Cup and Honduras will tangle with Australia for a berth in Russia, while the US will play friendlies against, we're not sure, probably Canada and Lithuania or something. Watch, and grimace. And no VAR in CONCACAF. Follow at Nicolas Mendola. Not even 24 hours removed from one of the darkest days in recent U.S. men's national team history, and while many sensible supporters recognize the deeplying issues amongst the American soccer culture, a resounding theme for others has been quite the contrary. Just a word of advice, which is nothing groundbreaking on my end. More U.S. soccer community reacts to World Cup exclusion. Avoid Twitter and other social media platforms at all costs after a brutal loss, like the one we all witnessed on Tuesday night. It only causes emotional distress for all parties involved. While reading through my Twitter timeline, which is the exact opposite thing I should have been doing, the sentiments popping up, for the most part, were what I fully expected. It was one of disappointment, anger and a little nausea. However, others in the U.S. soccer community began writing about how the USMNT deserves to be in Russia next summer more so than Panama or Honduras, and in an even more comical twist, that President Donald Trump is at fault for the Americans' shortcomings. I'm certainly not naive enough to believe either of those two sentiments personally. However, it's become quite clear that the former argument is a resounding theme in the minds of many in the American soccer community. Over the years there has become a growing sense of entitlement amongst U.S. supporters, and to some degree it's understandable. The 2018 World Cup cycle will be the first time the Americans haven't reached the game's biggest tournament since 1986. To put that into perspective, 1986 saw Ronald Reagan as President of the United States, Mike Tyson won his first boxing world title, and college basketball adopted the three-point line. Simply put, it's a long time. In fact, prior to next summer's tournament, the USMNT had qualified for 7 consecutive trips to the World Cup, which was actually a longer run than Mexico. El Tri were banned from the competition in 1990 for fielding ineligible players during the lead-up to the competition. Does that honestly mean that the World Cup is some sort of rite of passage for the Americans though, because it shouldn't be? Yes, the U.S. has made countless strides throughout the years to enhance its standing and perception within the global soccer community, but this is also the classic case of what have you done for me lately. Like other sports and areas of life, it's about what you earn instead of what you've been handed out. It's absolutely absurd to honestly state that past performances should dictate whether or not the USMNT should be playing in Russia next year. This team simply wasn't good enough to qualify, and over 10 matches during the hexagonal, that truth came bursting out. Veteran players like Michael Bradley, Tim Howard and Clint Dempsey obviously have played massive roles in the past for the USMNT, and deserve credit for their service, but those 3 and the rest of the squad know that they needed to be better on Tuesday and throughout their qualifying campaign. To use another example, look at Brazil at the last World Cup. The Selecao are a perennial power in soccer, and have been for decades. The Brazilians were handed a humbling for the ages by Germany in the semi-finals, before being thumped by Holland once again in the third-place match in front of their home crowd. More a way too early look at what's next for the USMNT. For most countries, reaching the semi-final at the World Cup would be a massive accomplishment, but not for Brazil or any other top soccer-playing nation. The USMNT has had its humbling experience, and as Ian Darke said so eloquently on Tuesday, the USA did not earn it. No team has a divine right to go to the World Cup. It has to be earned. USA did not earn it. No hard luck story here. Ian Darke at Ian Darke, October 11, 2017. They've got to bounce back and prepare itself better for the future after the incumbent changes occur in the coming days and weeks. In the words of a popular children's book, you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. Follow at Madrid Football. 2 more teams booked their spot in the round of 16 at the 2017 U17 World Cup in India on Wednesday. Live watch U17 World Cup. Here England's exciting young side were given a fright by Mexico, while France held off Japan to advance. Below you will find videos and a roundup of the action, while you can click on the link above to watch every game from the U17 World Cup live via Telemundo. Group E. France 21 Japan. Amine Gouiri scored twice for France and Taisei Miyashiro's penalty kick wasn't enough to grab Japan a point as the French youngsters sealed their spot in the last 16. Japan do face bottom side New Caledonia in the final game of the group stage, so they are well set to advance. Honduras 50 New Caledonia. Another humbling for New Caledonia, who have now conceded 12 goals in 2 games at the World Cup. Honduras go into their final group game against France with a decent chance to advance as either runners-up or as one of the best third-place teams. Group F. England 32 Mexico City. The Three Lions look to be cruising to a comfortable victory in Kolkata after going 30 up, but Mexico fought back and made it very interesting with less than 20 minutes to go. Liverpool's Ryan Brewster opened the scoring with a fine free kick, while Man City's Phil Foden scored a fine goal and Borussia Dortmund's Jadon Sancho tucked home a penalty kick, his third goal of the tournament, with England flying before the hour mark. Mexico made it interesting with 2 goals from Diego Lainez, but England held on and will advance to the round of 16. Mexico must beat Chile in their final group game to have any chance of making the knockout rounds. Iraq 30 Chile. Iraq is well placed to join England in the last 16 as they beat South Americans Chile 30 with Mohamed Dawood scoring twice and an own goal handing them victory. They are now on 4 points, while Chile have lost both their opening games and have conceded 7 goals in the process. Follow at JPW_NBC Sports. Mesut Ozil could stick around at Arsenal after all. More USMNT Roundtable. The German international playmaker, 28, only has a contract through the end of the 201,718 campaign and along with Alexis Sanchez has yet to agree a new deal with the Gunners. Ozil's agent, Dr. Erkut Sogit, seems to be rather positive the former Real Madrid star will be sticking around in North London for the foreseeable future, with reports stating a contract worth over $350,000 per week is on the table. Ozil wants to play another 2 to 3 years in the Premier League. Our contacts with Arsenal continue and are going in a positive way, Sogit said. With the talented playmaker still working his way back from injury and yet to get going this season, Ozil always seemed like the more likely out of he and Sanchez to remain at the Emirates Stadium. Since joining Arsenal in 2013, he has scored 30 goals and added 48 assists, as well as winning 3 FA Cup trophies, and although his impact is oft questioned by fans and pundits alike, there is no doubting his playmaking abilities. In the short term, there are questions as to whether Ozil and Sanchez can start in the same Arsenal team, with Alex Iwobi and others offering a more defensive mindset out wide, but Arsene Wenger will no doubt be happy that at least one of his star men seems increasingly likely to sign a new deal before he can leave on a free transfer in the summer. Ozil is free to negotiate with foreign clubs from January 1, 2018 and arrange a free transfer for July 1 onwards, but with reports linking him to Manchester United to play for Jose Mourinho once again, Arsenal will surely be pushing hard for him to sign a new deal soon. Follow at JPW_NBC Sports. Geneva AP. The World Cup is truly taking shape. A dramatic day of qualifying matches ended with 23 of the 32-team lineup confirmed to play next year in Russia. Lionel Messi will be there. Cristiano Ronaldo, too. The United States will not, for the first time since 1986. The remaining 9 spots will be decided next month, but the 8 top-seeded nations for the December 1 draw in Moscow are now known. There are still 4 European playoffs, 2 intercontinental playoffs and 3 African qualifying groups to be decided. Here are some things we learned about the next World Cup. Star power. Before games kicked off Tuesday, Messi and Ronaldo were not sure of advancing. It all worked out, to the relief of Argentina, Portugal, FIFA and social media users everywhere. World Cup sponsor Adidas and Nike, who provide the uniforms for Messi and Ronaldo, respectively, on international duty, should also be relieved. Messi was a savior for Argentina, which likely had to win in the high altitude of Ecuador and trailed in the first minute. The only Argentina player to score in qualifying games this year, Messi's hat-trick led the way to a 31 win and a spot at the World Cup. Ronaldo did not add to his 15 goals in qualifying, but Portugal's 20 win over Switzerland ended the European champions' winning streak and ensured first place in the group on goal difference. Not all of the world's best players will be in Russia. Wales forward Gareth Bale, Chile striker Alexis Sanchez and rising American star Christian Pulisic all were eliminated. Also missing at least 20 unfilled sponsor slots in FIFA's planned commercial program, TOPSEDED teams. Portugal and Argentina went from the fringes to the top-seeded pot of teams as the NOS 3 and 4 teams in the FIFA rankings. The top 7 ranked teams, FIFA will confirm the list on Monday. Join host Russia in Pot 1. They include top-ranked Germany, the defending champions, Brazil, Belgium, Poland and France. Russia's ranking, somewhere in the 60s, could be worst in the draw, but is because the host nation has not played high-value, competitive qualifying games. Spain won't be one of the seeded teams, and should be the one to avoid from Pot 2. FIFA picked a new draw format with seeding pots entirely decided by October's rankings instead of geographical divide. No two teams from the same confederation can be drawn together, except for Europeans. With 14 UEFA members in the draw, FIFA allows a maximum of 2 in each of the 8 groups. If Serbia lands as an outlier in Pot 4, it could set up the toughest group with either Brazil or Argentina and another European team. New boys Iceland and Panama are the 2 World Cup newcomers so far. Iceland is beloved worldwide after its run to the 2016 European Championship quarter-finals and will be the smallest nation by population, only 330,000 ever to play at a World Cup. Expect the country's trademark thunderclap salute between players and fans to be admired and copied across the tournament. Panama's unlikely 21 win Tuesday over already qualified Costa Rica relied on a goal that never crossed the line, and an 88th-minute strike from Roman Torres. Panama took the last direct qualifying place in CONCACAF region, and the United States fell away after a surprising 21 loss at Trinidad and Tobago. Vibrant visitors expect many of Iceland's population to land in Russia, and most will be personal friends of the team. Iceland's blue and white hordes were a must-see experience at Euro 2016 even before their team eliminated England in the last 16. For sheer euphoria, Egypt's qualification this week to end a 28-year absence was hard to beat. Egypt already ranks in FIFA's top 10 of nations whose residents have requested tickets to the 64 games in Russia. Color and noisy good cheer would also be guaranteed if either or both of Ireland or Northern Ireland advance through the European playoffs next month. Politics. The elimination of Ukraine this week removed a huge potential problem for FIFA. Teams from Russia and Ukraine have been kept apart for security reasons in competition draws since 2014. It would have struck an awkward tone at the December 1 draw at the State Kremlin Palace. Syria's exit against Australia on Tuesday also removes the chance of the team's impressive run being used for propaganda by the regime of President Bashar al-Assad, an ally of Russia. Russian organizers say there will be no repeat of violent clashes involving its fans at the past 2 European Championships, including against Poland in Warsaw and England in Marseille. Russia cannot be in a group with top-seeded Poland, but could draw England from Pot 2. Video review on the field. FIFA still has issues to resolve in refereeing games. It wasn't up to FIFA to prevent Panama's ghost goal, but the technology system will be used at all 12 Russian stadiums for the World Cup. FIFA is on the clock to decide if referees should get help from video review, however. Decision-making was slow and often confused at the 8-Nation Confederations Cup in Russia this year. Reviews once predicted to last mere seconds stretched to 3 minutes, and still seem to get things wrong. Top-level German and Italian league games are using video assistant referees this season and, again, have provoked anger from team officials. FIFA's rule-making panel is scheduled to make a decision in March, maybe based more on hope than expectation. More AP World Cup coverage. http://www.appnews.com /World Cup